Hello and welcome to the Grateful and Thriving Mums podcast. And on today's episode, we have guest speaker Lucy James, who I'm super excited to have on to introduce herself. Over to you, Lucy. What's your name? Where do you come from?
Love that bit of Still a Black. God, that was ages ago. So hi everyone, I'm Lucy and I'm a mindset and manifestation coach.
So we're going to talk about manifesting. So I'm wanting to know, what is something that you have learned along your journey, because you've been on such a massive journey with manifesting? What's the one tool that you use on a day-to-day basis?
I think with manifesting, I think the main tool that I use is visualization. So it's something that you can do anywhere at any time. You don't need to have a pen and paper. You don't need to have your phone. You can just sit. You don't even have to close your eyes. You can just sit there and you can just think about what it is that you want to manifest, how it is that you're going to feel, what are you going to be wearing, what are you going to be doing. And it's just something that you can do at any point of the day.
Is there anything you've found, like with your manifest, is there anything that you found that works? If you've had any setbacks, is there anything that stops you from manifesting? Like, is there anything where you've had something where it stopped you from manifesting, you've been able to reframe and get yourself back on track?
Yeah, so I think like everybody talks about alignment, and I think that's something that we're always working and striving for. And obviously looking at your mindset and how you think and feel, those are like the key things that can block your manifestation. And it's something that you're always working on, especially if you have like a mental health condition. It can feel really hard some days to be like high vibe, full of energy, and wanting to do all the things to help you manifest. And actually, when you look at manifesting, it's not just about like asking for what you want and then receiving it. It's you've got to believe in yourself as well. You've got to believe that, you know, whatever word that resonates with you, like universe, God, source, whatever word resonates, is going to deliver it to you as well. So that's something that you're always working on. And for me, that's something that I'm always striving to achieve, is that alignment, and is that you're never going to be perfect, and you're always going to have a bit of ego, or you're always going to have a bit of a limiting belief, or you're always going to have, you know, people's opinions. But it's about working through those, and helping you to have a better mindset and a better understanding and a better belief system.
Yeah. So what would you say to someone that's new to manifesting? What would you say one of your top 3 things that will help them to learn how to manifest, alongside kind of like gratitude?
Yeah, so I think being grateful for what you've already got, I think that's so important. People forget about that because it's like you with manifesting, you're always striving for more. But if you're not grateful for what you've already got, then why should you have more? So it's really important to be grateful for what you've got. And that's a really important part of like the mindset piece of manifesting. So asking for it, being really clear on what it is that you want, being really clear on. So for some people, like they're like, yeah, I want a new car. It's like, okay, that's great, but like what type of car, like what color, how many doors has it got? Is it got 4 seats or 5 seats? Like, is it manual or automatic? Like all of those like little details that we can forget is actually really, really crucial, because otherwise the universe is not quite sure what to do. So gratitude, ask for it, and then definitely your mindset, definitely working on that, definitely working on your energy.
Do you have like a morning routine where it sets you up for success? So you've got like you're in a good mindset for to start the day off, and then if obviously you have any setbacks in between, what do you tend to tap into to get back on track?
So I try and get up before my two girls. So I try and get up before them. It's not always easy when they've got like a 5:30 alarm clock inside their brain. Wake up! Uh,
And I suppose as a mom as well, it makes it relatable, doesn't it? Because we don't always get that time for ourselves. And even like 5 minutes is golden time, I always go,
yeah.
especially in our household, because it's literally that domino effect. One wakes up, then it wakes somebody else up. So I suppose, yeah, I love that though. I love the fact you make that time for yourself.
So I try and get up before them, but if I don't, I still try and have like 5 minutes where they're just chilling and I'm visualizing. So even if I just get that done in the morning, then that's something that's going to help me with my mindset, my energy for the day. And then if I've got more time, then I will sit and I will do my gratitude and I will do my journaling and I will meditate and things like that. But let's be realistic. I've got two children who are like up at the crack of dawn. So most days that doesn't happen. And I think accepting that is really important and being like, right, if I get my journaling done at 11 o'clock, then that's fine. So yeah, so my morning routine changes every day, but I will do at least one thing before the day starts to help
Yeah.
me.
What, so would you say your first thing that you do is like your journaling and then the other bits in between as and when you can fit them, like with
Yeah,
your routine? I love
yeah,
the fact that you adjust everything because sometimes we can get stuck in that, oh, I need to do it all at the same time because I know that's what I get stuck in. So I'm glad you've said that because that's going to help so many people to think, well, actually, yeah, I don't need to have a set routine every day. It can just be different every day and just fit it in when it works for me. So
yeah,
I love that you do that because that's the one thing I get stuck with the whole, oh, well, I should do it at this time because, that's what I did yesterday. But then the shit's probably hit the fan, pardon my
yeah,
French, like earlier on in the day. So it's one of the, it's just making it more doable, isn't it? For like when you're a busy mom and fitting it in when it works for you as well. So I
yeah.
love that. What would you say, like, how long do you usually meditate for? Do you have like a set amount of time, or do you just go with the flow of how long you need on that day?
So with my meditating, it depends. So like some days I'll just silently meditate and it will only be for like I might only grab like a minute or two. And then some days I'll do like a guided meditation that might take 20 minutes. So it just depends on how I feel that day. Do I have the time to do it with between like running my business, working, the kids, family stuff? And how I feel that day. Like some days I'll be like, right, I really need to have that time to pour some energy and love into myself. And other days I wake up and I'm like, right, I feel really, really good today. I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes visualizing and just being at peace with myself.
Mhm.
So it depends. And I've learned to listen to my body and my energy to really know what it is that I need at that moment in time.
And you're really good at following like your intuition as well. So do you know if it's someone that's completely new to like listening to their intuition, what sort of things do you look at? Like what sort of things do you know that's your intuition? So is it my big thing, I suppose, is like my gut feelings. I know something's off. I can't explain it, but I'm like, no,
Mm,
that don't feel right. But like other people might have different sense. So the only reason I'm asking is because it's nice to have like a toolkit. Oh, I can listen for this or I can look out for that.
yeah. So like a gut feeling is normally like the first response is like, when you walk into a place and you just feel like the energy is off,
Yeah.
like listen to that, listen to your gut. Like, does it give you butterflies like when you're thinking about it? Is it making you excited or is it making your gut drop? I can't speak.
I knew what you meant though.
Your gut drop, and is it filling you full of dread? It could be that you have ringing in your ears when you get an idea and it's a really good idea and you should go and do it, or you might see like angel numbers. Like yesterday, an affirmation came from my phone at 11:11 and I was like, oh, I need to like screenshot that and like look at the affirmation and really sit with that affirmation. So sometimes it's just it's a body feeling.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like a noise. Sometimes it could be like that 11:11, like
Yeah.
seeing at a specific time. But it's also that like inner that inner voice of when you ask yourself a question. And so this is how I use my intuition is I'll speak, and then I'll have, so like I'll ask myself, should I go to Asda today? And instantly I've got yes. So
Yeah.
that's
Set in stone.
that's telling me that I need to go to Asda today. And I know I need to go because I need to go to dinner. But it's that instant, like, yes, I need to go. It's that instant.
Yeah. Because I know quite a lot of the time we can get like the second answer, kind of like we'll get an idea and we're like, yes, let's run with this. And then you're like, oh, actually. And then you doubt yourself because you've not acted on it there and then.
Yeah.
What would, with someone like that's got the self doubt and they have the idea straight away and they get the yes, would you say to just literally run with it at that point so that you don't get the self doubt or the ego kind of like kicking you in the teeth?
Yeah, I think so. I always say to listen to that first voice first, because that voice is your intuition. It's never going to guide you wrong. But with your self-doubt, it's about, yes, I would say listen to your self-doubt, because our ego and that self-doubt is about keeping us safe. And we will always have that. And we've had it from day dot when the cavemen were running around, hunting for food. And that ego is from there. It's that fight, flight, freeze scenario. And it's something that keeps us safe every day. But what's happened is, as we've evolved, that system within our body hasn't evolved. It's not been able to keep up with how we've evolved as human beings, and we're now not having to go out and hunt. But what I would say is listen to it and soothe it. So and what I mean by soothe it is, say for instance, when you first start something, so whether it's you find out that you're pregnant, or something's happening for the first time ever in life, and you're like, and your first thing is like, I'm so excited, I can't wait to do this. Then and the doubt creeps in. It's about listening to that and being like, do you know what, it's okay that I have that feeling and I have that thought. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to just take a moment to be with that and then reframe it.
Yeah.
So like, so for instance, like I predominantly work with women in business, and the self-doubt comes out when anybody has that new idea, or they're doing something new for the first time. It's like, right, let's sit with that. And normally it's like, I'm not good enough, I don't know enough, imposter syndrome. So it's about reframing that and being like, well, is there evidence at the moment that says that I'm not good enough, I can't do this, etc., etc. And it's sitting with that and looking for evidence against that self-doubt, but also looking for evidence that the self-doubt is true.
Yeah.
Because when we realize that there's no evidence that the self-doubt is true, we can start to talk to it and be like, well, there's no evidence there. And I always say, have a bit of an internal dialogue going with yourself, going like, I'm quite vocal, so I'll just sit there and be like, no, Lucy, like, what are you talking about? And luckily I'll do that when I'm on my own, so my husband's not going, what are you talking about? But that's how I do it, is I will sit and I'll have a conversation with myself, and it helps me massively to be like, well, no, that self-doubt is wrong.
I love that. I love that. It's the fact of like flipping the other side of the coin, isn't it? The whole like you only tend to see one side, but then if you flip the other side, you can see the other side, which is the side that you want to get on, basically. So that's the one thing I struggle with, because that you've just said, it's looking for the evidence and having something, or like having like your celebrations. That's when they come into play, isn't it? Where you've got like a bank of, oh look, but look at all this that I've achieved,
Yeah.
versus kind of like the self-doubt, which kind of breaks you out of it as well. So in terms of when you manifest, then what's the biggest thing that you've manifested so far that you didn't expect to manifest?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. It's really hard to like pinpoint one. I would say my main one is manifesting my way out of a toxic 9 to 5.
I love that.
So
That's so relatable to so many people as well, isn't it? Because there's a lot of us, there are a lot of people that are stuck into that 9 to 5. They don't know where to go. So yeah, fire away. Because I think this one's a juicy one.
so back in 2020, just before COVID and lockdown hit, was probably like the worst time in one of the worst times of my life. And I worked in a 9 to 5 corporate toxic workplace where people were bullying each other, I was getting bullied, and it was horrific, and they had a really good go at trying to destroy my career, my family life, like everything. They had a really good go at trying to like ruin my life. And I was like, I need to get out. I need to get out of this workplace. And I had no idea how it was going to work. I just knew that I needed to hand my notice in as soon as possible. And this journey that I went on in over 6 months, so everything kind of erupted in the January. And by sort of like the June, July, I'd got this, I knew when I was handing my notice in, I knew what I was going to be doing. I had everything in place. And 6 months sounds like a really, really long time, especially when you're in that place where you're feeling like, I felt anxious, depressed. My mindset was really, really poor. I didn't believe in myself at all. And I had my first ever coach who helped me like reframe everything, because of the bullying, I had no self-worth. I had no sense of identity. Like, they stripped everything away. So when I had that coach and she spent that time with me, she was like, you have got the potential to go off and do whatever you want. And I was like, well, I love mindset and manifesting. She was like, well, why don't you do something with that? And that was when everything clicked. It was like, oh my God, yes, like this makes so much sense. I can go and I can do this and I can build a business. But it wasn't until I went, I need to hand my notice in. And within that moment, that with her, the idea dropped in and the plans started. So I was able to then make a plan. I was able to say, September, I'm handing my notice in. So everything shit hit the fan in January. By sort of like April, I was I was having coaching and I was having therapy. And then by the June, it was like, right, this is the business plan. This is what you're going to be doing. And then the September, I handed my notice in.
Oh, I bet it felt so good to just finally be like, see ya, I'm off.
Yeah,
Like what feeling did you feel once you'd handed your notice in and you finally stepped away?
it was the best feeling in the world, because it was like I was finally free. So I was really, I say I was really lucky. Like, I had to shield during COVID. So I didn't have to go to work. I didn't have to do anything. I was getting paid. And COVID is, for some people, was the worst time in their life. They lost loved ones. They've got PTSD from it. It was horrific. But for me, COVID gave me, it was like the universe kind of wrapped their arms around me and gave me a bubble to be able to start my healing journey.
Oh, I love that.
Uh, and it always makes me feel really emotional, because how I think about how I felt in that January to the September, when I finally felt free and finally felt happy and joyful and excited about life again, that it was like, this is what I want for the rest of my life. I don't want to feel stuck. I don't want to feel tied down. I don't want to feel like I have to say yes to a boss. I don't want to have to book when I'm off and spend time with my family. I want that freedom.
Yeah.
And that is what I've continuously tried to create for my family ever since.
I think the journey you've been on as well, because obviously I feel like I can't think when I first came, I think I came into your world around about 2020, and I was sort of sitting on the sidelines for ages. You know, like you do a lurker kind of in your group,
Yeah,
in your group. But I was always a bit like, because I've not fully dived into the personal development journey. And I just loved how passionate you were about like manifesting, about like making yourself feel good, like reframing things.
mm-hmm.
Because quite a lot of the time we can get stuck on social media and see snippets of someone's day and not actually see the chaos behind it all.
Yeah,
Whereas when I used to do coaching with you, it would just, you'd always flat it all back, and you'd always be able to see the actual reason of why you were feeling like you was. But I'd always come away from a call really empowered, really inspired, and it were like having like a best friend on my shoulder. And it's like, for anyone that's never done coaching, it's such a transformational journey for both of you as well, isn't it? Because you
yeah,
go on that journey together. You
yeah,
meet them where they're at, and you give them tools, and then I suppose you see your client grow as well as a person. Like,
yeah,
I don't like, for me, I feel like since probably 2020, I lost myself quite a bit. Like you said, a lot of people did with the
yeah,
pandemic anyway. And then I kind of were in a bit of denial that I got postnatal depression, but didn't want to admit it. And then I suppose like 2023 were another hardship again, because it was the
mm-hmm.
whole I'd been through like my miscarriage and whatnot. So for someone that's been through something that's through trauma, what would you say is like your tool that you use to kind of break down your barriers to try and heal yourself? What would you say that you use?
Yeah. So I mean, I've been diagnosed with complex PTSD, so and I will always be open about my mental health journey and where I've been and where I am now. And every day when you have been through trauma, and when I say trauma, I mean anything, that it's not just about the big traumas that you hear about like on the news. It's those little traumas as well, of being told that you're not good enough, of being, or having that little, like those snipey remarks being told to you. They, it's that is trauma. And it's about, for me, it's about accepting. I think first off, just accepting that actually these things have happened, because it can be really, really hard. And I've carried so much trauma. And actually, when I started to accept that those were the things that were happening, and that was the feeling that was inside my body because of the trauma, that's when things started to really shift. So instead of sitting with the dread, or not really understanding and having like anxiety, and then wondering why I was having flashbacks to a certain point, or wondering why I was having a panic attack and there was nothing, nothing seemingly triggered it. It was about acceptance, and it was about then taking back the control. So instead of giving the trauma the control, I took the control back.
Oh, I
And
love that.
massively, massively helped me.
So when you say take the control back, do you mean like um kind of basically saying this is what's happened, like honoring your feelings? Because I think a lot of the time as well, like I know for me when I went through my grief, I felt guilty for feeling so upset, for so many months, because I got in my head, oh, it's happened like 6 months ago. I should be further along by now. And I suppose grief, you always carry it with you, but it gets lighter and lighter each day as you heal on your journey, doesn't it? Whereas I'd put myself under that so much pressure that I thought, well,
Mm.
by now, and then I think what it was a lot of the time was ignorance from other people.
Yeah.
The whole, well, you've got children, so it's not like you can't have children. But it wasn't the fact of I was grieving about you obviously not having kids. It was the fact of it was such a traumatic event.
Yeah.
It was the whole processing it all. And then I suppose you're grieving for the life that you would have had because you've got your head around the pregnancy. You told
Mm.
everyone at 12 weeks. And then obviously for it to be basically cut so short, it's hard to process it, isn't it? So I
Yeah.
suppose like the tips you've given are really good, like honouring how you feel. And like, did you find any kind of like, did you do any like journaling around it, like journal prompts that helped you to dive in a little bit more, or would there be anything specific you'd use in terms of like journaling? I know like for me, what I tend to use a lot of is in the morning I'll put like, how do I feel today? And then I'll
Yeah.
dump it all out and reframe what's not needed. Is there anything that you tend to like your go-to tool with journaling?
Yeah, so like when I first started, like I've been on a personal development journey for about 8, 9 years. But when I really went into it in that January of 2020, I was like, I don't know what to write. And I bought a journal that had got prompts in which where I didn't have to write a lot, because at some points it was like I couldn't put it into words
Yeah,
how I was thinking, how I was feeling. But just being able to like bullet point like words like anxious or moody or snappy or impatient,
yeah,
able to be like, right, that's okay. I'm just gonna honor how I feel. And even sometimes it wasn't about reframing it and being like, right, I'm gonna feel really positive now. It was just being like, right, that's how I feel. And it was learning to accept that and be like, okay, this is how I feel. I'm going to honor it, because in our society, we're not taught how to do that. We're not taught how to honor our emotions and express them. We're told to put up and shut up, basically. So it was really hard to learn how to do that. And I was really lucky that I had a good support system that allowed me to do that. Um, so and I had to relearn that all again in 2023 when I went through my postnatal depression and anxiety. I had to relearn all of that again. And something that I found really, really helpful is my therapist told me to do a mood key where I write down my mood, I give it a name. So I don't have to say that I feel angry. I can just give a colour or character or whatever. And then they know then that this is how I'm feeling, and actually this is really helpful when I'm feeling that way. Um, I'll say her name because she's fabulous, but she's Nicola Jane Parker, she's fabulous. But she really helped me to understand that and really just sit and honor those feelings. And instead of trying to go, well, I'm just going to be happy today, because if you have a mental health condition, you can't just switch. You can't just decide that I'm going to be happy now. You can do things that make you feel better,
yeah.
and that's by understanding and accepting how you feel, and then doing something that you know is going to boost you, whether that's like movement, music, um, journaling, meditating, all of those sort of self-care things. You can't just decide that you're going to be happy. And I think that's another thing within society that
It's
people,
the toxic positivity in it that you hear swinging about a lot. It's the whole, oh, I'll just put an affirmation on top of that bandage, and it's not fully peeling back the layers
yeah,
and get into the nitty gritty because you're frightened of what's going to come up.
yeah, definitely. And I think it's that instead of just putting a plaster over it, it's about taking the plaster off and letting the wound heal. So like, giving it a nice clean and speaking nicely to it so that it heals nicely.
Yeah, that makes so much sense though, because that's like the simplest way to do it, isn't it? Because like the other thing they always say is talk to yourself how you talk to your best friend. Like the inner dialogue that you use, if it's the negative, you wouldn't say that to your best friend. You wouldn't say, oh, I'm shit at that, or pardon my French again. Or, you wouldn't say I'm rubbish at that, or I can't do that. You'd basically be that pep talk of, well, yeah, I can do that because I've done it before.
Yeah.
So like for someone that's new to manifesting, then what would your key takeaways be for women to to try to basically input it into their life more, so it's doable for them?
So I think for the first one is stop listening to like everybody that tells you that you should do it a certain way and this is the only way that you manifest, because it's just not true. We're always manifesting. So if they're telling you that you've got to be high vibe all the time, then it's not true. So stop listening to all the noise that's on social media, that's out there on YouTube and podcasts and stuff. Is listen to people who you feel aligned with. That's the most important thing. Listen to people who empower you, who give you inspiration, who you feel like, oh, like they get me, like I get it, like yes, I'm going to listen to them, rather than people that disempower you and make you feel negative about how you do things or how you live your life. So that would be my number one. Number two, I would be like, get crystal clear, like really understand what it is that you want from your life. Like, is it freedom? Is it financial abundance? Is it love? Is it self-love? Like, what is it? Like, get super, super clear on that, because that will massively help you. And then like do the thing, like work with the universe, work with source, God, whatever word you want to use, whatever resonates with you, work with them. Because if you just say like, I want this thing, and then sit back, that would be like saying, I want to win the lottery, but you're not buying the lottery ticket. So you've got to do something that's going to help you to achieve that. So co-create, so that the universe can go and deliver you the results.
I love that. I love that. I love how you said that. Because I think that's a lot of the battle in it. A lot of the time, people can be like, right, I want to manifest this, but then they're not taking the action. So they're not actually getting
Yeah,
what they want, basically. Then they're wondering why. It's because you've not took that one step, that one little step. It's the whole, you think you have to take a massive step, don't you, just towards that goal, when in actual fact, little steps often are what get you to the transformation in the end and get you to the goal, don't they?
yeah.
I've really enjoyed chatting with you. It's been such a good episode today, and I feel like everyone's going to get so much out of it. Um, have you enjoyed being on the episode today?
Yeah, I've loved it. Thank you so much for having me.
It's all right. Thank you so much for being on it. And thank you, everybody, for listening. I hope you've had some key takeaways from it. And yeah, I hope it's been helpful for you. Thank you for listening to Real and Thriving Mums podcast. Thank you, Lucy James, for being my first guest speaker. And I look forward to you all listening to this episode soon.